So, hello and welcome back to Revive Nation's audio podcast. Here we are with Pastor Shaiju and myself, Sarah and Francesco. And today we have a very special guest. We're very privileged to have Pastor Priji here with us today as well. So, before we get to the topic of the day,
I want to remind our listeners and viewers that we are going to Singapore. We're having Revive conferences in Singapore, December 8th to the 11th. If you need more information, please go on our website, revivenations.org/itinerary. Thank you.
Wow, so here we are on podcast and vlogcast. Can you
Yeah.
hear that?
Yeah, we're trying something different. This podcast is also going to be available on YouTube if everything goes well. So,
Okay, but the reason.
by the way, Pastor Priji is in Canada.
So
So this is.
exciting and unreal.
So he was the guy who got all this started. He's the one who pushed me to do podcasts. I was so bugged with it. I didn't like the way that for me, I'm not an audio guy. I'm a more visual guy. So he pushed me to start podcasting. And when I started it, I really enjoyed it. So then when I came in here, since his absence, I improvised the whole thing with you both. And now to have you all come together is this perfect moment.
And to have a different setup today.
Yeah. So we've got special microphones. Usually we just use the iPhone microphone. So everybody's got their own microphones, and so we hope that we are very loud and clear.
Check
Yeah.
1, 2.
And don't forget to leave us a comment and let us give your feedback. It encourages us all the time.
Yeah. So the topic of today's discussion is in fact relevant to what we were already talking about. The importance of media in ministry and what we do in church. Just to introduce the topic, I've been here in Emmanuel for the last 10 days, and I've been seeing how the church is maximizing the use of media, the use of all the technology that God has blessed us with to be able to reach out the maximum, to be able to be on a way, or to keep all the content available online, to make the services very engaging for the people with all the infrastructure that has been in place. So I thought it would be a great thing if we could do a podcast for so many others who could learn from this experience of what you're doing here in Emmanuel.
Absolutely. I believe that Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the four Gospels were God's way of documentizing it. The other day I was reading in somewhere, if I'm not wrong, somewhere in the book of Numbers, where God was very specific to Moses and said, mark and documentize. Now, this is, of course, I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
Every place, every milestone, everything that you have done. And Moses goes into the very minute details of things that have been done. And I believe that if video was available then, they would use a video. And the same thing with Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Their four Gospels were documentizing what they saw from their perspective. So that's what media does. Media records everything that God is doing through our generation, so that we can show to the next generation. So it becomes part of the cloud of witness that carries on the gospel.
That's true.
okay, so let's get started. The first question I want to ask is, what are the tools, the platforms that you believe are necessary for a good ministry, a church to be successful?
I think we should definitely have, we should maximize all of the basic ones that is already good. It could be the website, the blogs, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and these are some of the basic ones which you cannot miss. Of course, YouTube and podcasting is also necessary. This is where the maximum number of people are. There are those platforms where not everybody is on, like for example Pinterest, or there's so many other smaller platforms where you wouldn't get a larger audience. But if you talk about Facebook for that matter, in our day and time, almost everybody on almost everybody on planet Earth is there on Facebook, and they communicate to people on Facebook, and it's a brilliant way to reach out to people. So I think website, blogs, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then YouTube, podcasts.
This is how I see it technically, because this is the clarity that our viewers or listeners should have, is that Facebook should not become your primary location of contact point. The website should always remain as your primary place. It is your online home.
Yeah, yeah.
What now I see nowadays is that Facebook becomes everything, because what happens is that since they have so much engagement on Facebook, Facebook becomes their only website. Many churches don't have a website, they just stick with a Facebook group. I think that's a critical mistake, because at the end of the day, you're just putting more dollars into Mark Zuckerberg's or his pocket, that is critically important, that there is an online home where it becomes your online face. So everything that you post on, I personally think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, for social main are the ones that you need to engage most. These four should be leading your viewers to the website.
That's true.
So everything that you do should be leading. So website is something that they cannot often update. So you use your blog to have weekly updates, whether it be news or articles or whatever resources that encourage people, so that you can then take the content of the blog, post it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and send the viewers back to the website. If that doesn't happen, if that full cycle doesn't happen, that's a failure too. Because at the end of the day, you want people to come to your online home. At the end of the day, you want them to come to your website and connect with them on the website and have an exchange of emails, and then have a more one-on-one connection on your online home.
That's true. Just to add to it, for example, when we put content on Facebook, it doesn't get pulled up on Google search. When people, suppose you've written an article on marriage, and you've written it on Facebook, and people search on marriage, it wouldn't come up on Google search. But if you've written it in your website, on your blogs, it will easily get pulled up on Google search. It will come up in other places. So I think that, and plus it stays for a long time. You never know how, Facebook feed, it just goes away. But if your content is on your own website, on your own blog, it stays for a really, really long time.
Yeah. So that's where blogs help, where you have to be intentional. So many people just do a cute website and just leave it there. That's another failure. If you're going to have a website, make sure you update it often. And the more consistently you're able to put out resources, the better for your website. Even in terms of Google ranking, they rank you on a better rank when there is consistent stuff updated on your website. Otherwise, your rank goes down as well. The higher the rank, the faster you come up in research as well.
That's true. That's true.
So moving on from social media, what about what we understand is more traditional media, such as cameras? Because you need something to post onto YouTube. You need that device to film what you want to make accessible online. Is it smart for a church to invest heavily into media, or is it something that is a less of a priority when it comes to cameras and things like that?
I think he's the perfect person to answer that. He's always believed in investing into media, but one thing that we should understand is that we don't always have to start with a $5,000 camera. We can probably start with an iPhone camera. I mean, do you remember those days when you used to do your not a vlog, but like a video using your laptop camera? You used to record into the laptop camera, and that used to become a word that would go up on YouTube.
Yeah, I had that HP laptop that,
and it had a webcam. That's what he used to use. That's what we started from. I mean, we get very fascinated seeing the amazing cameras and the iPhones and everything, and we are like, wow, this is how we should do ministry. But we at times forget that we can optimize our resources and start with the very minimum that we get at times. And
Yeah.
begin
So
to build with
to
it.
practically just throw some light, I would say that, like, if you have no resources whatsoever, start with a iPhone camera. I never believed that I would say this, but I'm going to say it now. The other day I saw somebody using a Samsung, and to be honest, that camera I felt had better quality of the picture. Okay, I don't know which Samsung. I won't say every Samsung, but that one Samsung that I saw. Don't give them too much credit. I'm a Apple loyalist, but otherwise, any iPhone, either it's
Has
a,
to be an
yeah.
iPhone.
So start off with that. So that way you have something for yourself. All my vlogs that you see, I use my iPhone, and especially now with the latest iPhones, the clarity of the stuff is just brilliant. They can start with iPhone. Now we're talking video in specifics. Then we can move to like a PowerShot GX7. The Sony has the latest. It ranges between the Canon's PowerShot camera would probably be about $800. With Sony's one, the latest one would be like $1,200. That has better sound clarity than an iPhone, because that's the challenge with iPhones. The clarity of sound on these small ones would be much better. After that, if you still have a little more money to invest into, you should definitely invest into a Canon 70D or a 80D. 80D is the latest one, which has an autofocus that helps us. Yeah. So if you're doing videos for your church, it really helps in focusing without making it look bad. Then if the Lord has blessed you even further, you can a C100, nothing to beat that. Like to start off in the start, it's professional, but it's starting professional. I think it's about $5,000-6,000. We really love it. Then on, if you have more money, then we won't be talking now. You know what to do with it.
But okay, so we've been focusing a lot on video cameras. What about other media instruments? Because I know we have like a big TV and a projector, and we have a mixer. Like, how do churches that, like, let's say, just start?
So how do we use videos?
Yes.
A couple of areas that we do. Priority wise, we would want to edit stuff and post clips of it on YouTube, because today people don't have the concentration capacity for long videos. But even though some people like it, so what they generally do is small clips are more stuff that people would watch and are something that would be more in demand.
Right.
But longer clips is something that you can convert it into a DVD and sell it on a store or something like that. And then we could probably go into what else are the live projection in a service. If the crowd is huge, using a live projector.
I think even for that matter, if you want to do audio podcasts, investing into good microphones.
Yeah, that's your genre. So if somebody wants to start an audio podcast, what would you tell them?
I think the first thing they need is a good recorder. Like, I started with a Zoom H1N.
See, that's this, man. I stuck to our very good iPhone. It works for me. There is this app that Boss Jock, that's what it's called, BOSSJOCK.
That's a brilliant app.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we don't even need a recorder, but if you have money to afford,
It's very cheap, but the good thing is the audio clarity on it is at least 25 times better.
what recorder would you suggest?
Zoom H1N.
Okay.
So that's what I started with. And if you want to start an audio podcast, if you want to record your sermons and you don't have a mixer in your church, you can just buy a Zoom H1N and hold it next to you, or just plug it in and you can record your entire sermon on first class.
That being said, you have a daily podcast.
Daily podcast.
You still do daily?
Yes.
Like, you're in Canada. I don't see you do it.
It's up online, so I just have to update it.
That's cheating. Wow. So if somebody wants to do podcast, what would you say? What is your suggestion?
I think they first have to get a website for themselves, and then find a place which hosts audios, and like we use SoundCloud.
So then they don't need a website.
They still need a website.
Why?
They still need a website where they can bring people to
Yeah.
otherwise-
Yes. As a matter of principle,
Yes,
but otherwise they can just use SoundCloud to host it on SoundCloud,
Host it on
just like how we
SoundCloud.
use YouTube
Yes,
to host.
Yes, yes.
I find SoundCloud being very practical.
Very, very good. I've been using SoundCloud for more than a couple of years, and it's amazing. It's a little expensive, but it's amazing.
Okay. All right.
So, what are some examples of successful media ministries that you know that are out there?
I think Emmanuel Church, Revive Nations.
Pastor Shaju, Pastor Priji. That's 4.
I think Pastor Shaiju has learned the principle of tapping into this. At the moment, we have an online reach of over 100,000 people, including the Facebook, the email subscribers that we've got, the people who follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and all those social medias put together. I don't know the exact number, but we had over 1 million hits on our website over the last 1 year. That's like a
The blog alone crossed about 5 million views.
yeah. I mean views, and then we have unique visitors, and it's a big number. Over 220 nations that are reading our blogs and our websites in about 70 different languages
Wow.
on almost every year basis, and that's definitely a big enough impact that the ministry is doing. And of course, there are definitely a lot of ministries out there that are doing a great job with their social media. Would you like
In
to-
terms of video, and I really love what Elevation does.
Yeah.
Even the website is minimal. I like minimal stuff. I don't like going into a website and like getting confused, like where do we go to? The more minimal it is, the better. That's just my personal taste. Obviously, Hillsong,
Beats
they have,
everything.
yeah, they've really decoded. But that being said, I think some of the really good stuff that we've learned is from TD Jakes and Benny Hinn and the likes.
Yeah.
But now Hillsong is good with anything with cinematic, any videos, and
Yeah.
they carry that spirit of excellence.
That's true.
So speaking about spirit of excellence, I want to know what kind of person does it take to run a media ministry effectively? Like, what kind of people do you want to see behind the camera or behind this computer screen?
See, that is a good question. You need to find somebody that is passionate about media, and you need to find somebody that is patient enough to follow through the entire process. Because some people like playing with the toys, but they don't like to follow through it. They don't like the editing process. They don't like the hard work behind it. They don't like the hard part of it. So if you find kids who are so excited at the sight of cameras and they're like, hey, I'll cast. Okay, buddy, we give you the camera, but you also need to be committed enough to stay back, pack the cameras, put it in the location. So definitely responsibility is something that is critical. And then the objective of, irrespective of how brilliant the clips are, if it is not edited and it's not uploaded,
Yeah. That's true.
it's a waste of energy, waste of time, waste of money. So it should be somebody that can follow through the entire process. So I think knowledge is relative, because I can always find somebody that I can teach them how to do. For me personally, their level of commitment is important. And one of the best examples is Robin in our team.
Yeah.
He's not a video editor. He's not a video guy. He's our web guy. He's a web administrator. But I was in Australia, didn't have a team, and I just said, hey, I need this video done, edited, and uploaded. He sat through the night all the way till 4 in the morning. He edited it.
On YouTube.
He edited. He didn't have a software, so he edited it using YouTube. and then he uploaded it on YouTube. He sat like, so 4:30 in the morning is when he went to sleep, because that's the level of commitment. So you need somebody that will see through the process and not just who love playing with the toys.
Yeah.
What would you add?
Yeah, I think I'll completely agree to that. But at the same time, we need to make sure that they are people who are acquainted with the latest technology. Like for example, the systems are upgrading, things are changing. So if as a church, if you are serious about your media ministry and the people who are leading your media ministry, you need to make sure that you invest into training them into like he said, if you find a committed person, and even if he's not very skilled and knowledgeable, train the person and try to
Give them the exposure.
give them the exposure, put them around people who have a media ministry, and help them learn. I think that's the best way to equip them into being able to do something.
Thank you. Any closing thoughts?
Actually, I have a quick question. I was wondering, is there a group of people in the body of Christ that are older, that technology is a whole like new thing for them? And so if there's a pastor who wants to bring media in, is there going to be a challenge sometimes depending on the generation difference, or like, is that something that you found, or do you think that's a
Definitely.
problem or not?
I think the greatest challenge that elderly people and elderly pastors they face is when they see the numbers and they freak out. They say, hey, this is a big amount, and
When you say numbers, you mean the cost?
money, the cost.
Okay,
But
to
they
invest.
don't see the impact that it can bring. They just see the investment, and they really freak out, and they say, hey, I don't think this is.
And also lack of vision.
And lack of vision, of course, but
If they don't see the goodness
The
that
end
comes out
result.
of it, like 19, if not for 100%, 99% of our invitations came through our website.
yeah.
Majority of people that know us today, Facebook, even today we did a Facebook live, and there was a lady that left a comment saying that, hey, this is the first time I'm seeing you. We're so blessed with what you just shared.
Wow.
So there is that lack of knowledge of, hey, how much more a greater impact. So a word that you preach on a Sunday could probably reach 250 nations.
Just
Yeah,
putting
that's
it
Yeah,
amazing. It's
so
true.
it's the vision. So not necessarily, even if you feel like you don't have that exposure, find a young man that would in your church would be passionate about it, and put them through it to help you. So you could probably listen to this and make them listen to this video or audio, and say, hey, here are the things that we would like to do. And if it is just basic questions that you have, like what do you use for this, how do you do this, if it doesn't take too much time, we don't mind helping you guys. If you send us an email,
Definitely.
we'd love to respond. Even if you can just leave a comment on this YouTube,
Ask a question,
yeah.
and we'd definitely love to get back to you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Be sure to share this. If this has blessed you, share this on your social media. Also, review it on iTunes, because that helps us in our Google rating.
It helps other people to find us.
Yeah. And any closing statements?
I think we're doing we're doing this because we believe that the body of Christ needs to be very vocal about its content. I was just going through the top 10 popular videos on YouTube and top 10 popular podcasts. For example, in India, if I look at the top 10 religious podcasts, they are all of so many other religions, and there's hardly anybody talking about God and anybody talking real stuff. And if the church is the ones who has the real content, and if they can become very vocal about it, and they can start talking more about it, they can actually invest their time and their money and their efforts into doing this. I think we can definitely reach out to a greater number of people and have a greater impact for the glory of God.
Yeah. As much as you've invested into the spiritual things, take time and efforts and money to invest into media and technology. If you don't have one, don't worry. Come on Revive Nation's website and you invest into our website and we'll take care of it for you. It's a good place to invest because it reaches more people for the Lord. And go visit our website, Guarding the Heart, subscribe to these channels and share it with, every time you find the media content, share it with somebody, and it helps more people to be blessed. God bless you guys. Thank you for being part of it.